Hi everyone, welcome to Infocraft. Today we are reading The Trial by Franz Kafka. Have you ever felt trapped in a situation where you didn't fully understand what was happening, yet everything around you seemed to work against you? What would it be like to be accused of something without knowing what you're accused of, and forced to face a court that seems entirely uninterested in your defense? These are the central themes we'll explore in Kafka's The Trial, a story about bureaucracy, guilt, and the human condition, where the protagonist, Joseph K., faces a mysterious and absurd legal system that seems to control every aspect of his life. Let's walk through the chapters together, examining the events and how they reflect deeper philosophical questions. Chapter 1. The Arrest. Joseph K. wakes up one morning to find two warders, Franz and Willem, in his apartment. They inform him that he is under arrest, though they don't specify the charges. Despite the absurdity of the situation, K reacts with surprise but not fear. He is told that he will be tried soon, but for the moment he can go about his daily life. He doesn't know what he's been accused of, and no one will tell him. The warders leave, and K is left bewildered. His life seems to continue normally, but the looming trial hovers over him even though he has no idea why he is being accused. What stands out in this chapter is K's initial indifference. He refuses to accept the seriousness of the situation and goes on with his routine. This denial of the trial and his perceived power over it sets the tone for the rest of the novel. K's belief that he is in control of the situation contrasts sharply with the increasingly oppressive environment that unfolds. Chapter 2. The Lawyer. K decides to seek legal help and visits his lawyer, Herr Hult. The lawyer's office is cluttered and Hult himself is sickly and unenthusiastic. K meets Lenny, the lawyer's assistant, who seems to flirt with him, but K is distracted by the disarray and incompetence surrounding him. Herr Hult appears uninterested in the case, giving vague responses, and K begins to feel that his legal team is ineffective. The lawyer is more concerned with his own health than with helping K, and his lack of enthusiasm only adds to K's growing sense of confusion and frustration. At this point, K begins to realize that the court, which is supposed to offer justice, is not concerned with fairness. Instead, it operates like a machine, indifferent to the individuals it affects. K's lawyer, Hult, seems to symbolize this indifference. He is a representation of the corrupted, detached legal system that K must navigate. K is unsure whether to trust his lawyer, but at this stage he has little choice but to proceed with him. Chapter 3. The Courtroom. K attends a court session, though he still doesn't know what he is accused of. The courtroom is a strange and surreal place, with no clear structure or order. There are no explanations, and K is left confused as he watches the proceedings unfold. The court is chaotic, filled with bizarre rituals and individuals who speak in cryptic language. K is shocked to see how little attention is paid to the specifics of the case, and instead the focus is on bureaucratic formalities. In this chapter we see K's growing awareness of the absurdity of the legal system. He realizes that he is caught in a world where justice is secondary to the performance of the system itself. The court becomes a symbol of Kafka's critique of bureaucratic systems that prioritize process over fairness. K is lost in this world, unable to grasp the logic behind it. Chapter 4. The Interrogation. K undergoes an interrogation, but once again he is not told what he is being accused of. The interrogation is invasive and uncomfortable, but the questions are nonsensical and disjointed. The officials ask him bizarre questions that seem unrelated to any crime he might have committed. Despite the odd nature of the interrogation, K begins to feel guilty, even though he doesn't know what he's guilty of. The whole experience becomes a performance, with K playing the role of the accused without understanding the crime. This chapter highlights Kafka's theme of guilt. K begins to feel the weight of his situation, even though he has no idea what he is guilty of. The sense of being trapped in an unjust system grows stronger, as K realizes that the court's focus is not on truth or justice, but on maintaining the power and control of the system. Chapter 5. The Meeting with the Painter. K seeks advice from Titorelli, a painter who is connected to the court. Titorelli suggests that there are three possible outcomes to Kay's case: definite acquittal, ostensible acquittal, and indefinite postponement. The first is unlikely, the second is temporary, and the third is a way of stalling the inevitable. Titorelli explains that the court is not interested in justice, but in perpetuating itself. Kay is horrified by the idea that there is no real hope for a fair trial, only manipulation and delay. This chapter reveals the bleakness of Kay's situation. The notion of justice is distorted, and the court's goal is not to resolve cases, but to continue its operations indefinitely. The painter's cynical outlook on the legal system makes Kay question the very nature of justice, further emphasizing the novel's existential themes. Chapter 6. The decision to fire his lawyer. Kay becomes disillusioned with his lawyer, Herr Huld, and decides to dismiss him. He visits Huld's house and meets Bloch, a tradesman who has been stuck in the court system for 5 years. Bloch is a broken man, constantly consulting new lawyers but getting nowhere. Kay is horrified by the prospect of becoming like Bloch, a victim of the system. Despite Bloch's warnings, Kay insists on firing his lawyer, believing that he must take control of his fate. This chapter highlights the theme of powerlessness. Kay feels increasingly alienated and frustrated by the inefficiency of the system and his inability to escape it. The more Kay learns about the fate of others like Bloch, the more he realizes that his own fate might not be in his hands. Chapter 7. The Unseen Forces. Kay is given an assignment to escort an influential Italian client around the city. As he spends time away from his case, he begins to suspect that the authorities are keeping him distracted while they manipulate his affairs. He becomes obsessed with the idea that the assistant manager is working against him. During his time with the Italian, Kay grows increasingly restless, and his paranoia deepens. He attends a meeting with the prison chaplain, who warns him that his case is going nowhere and suggests that Kay accept his fate. The chaplain shares a story about a man who seeks entrance to the law but is always denied. The story reflects Kay's own situation. He is caught in a system that he cannot understand, and he can never access justice. The story is an allegory for the futility of Kay's struggle, and it leaves him feeling hopeless. Chapter 8. The Dismissal of the Lawyer. Kay finally decides to dismiss his lawyer, Herr Huld. He locks himself in the lawyer's office and announces his decision, despite Bloch and Lenny's pleas. Kay is disgusted by the lawyer's behavior and the way the court has handled his case. He feels betrayed by everyone around him and realizes that his case is beyond saving. The dismissal of his lawyer marks a turning point in Kay's journey as he fully embraces his sense of powerlessness. In this chapter, we see Kay coming to terms with the futility of his situation. His desire for control and clarity leads him to take a decisive step, but it only serves to deepen his sense of alienation. Kay is increasingly isolated with no one to trust or rely on. Chapter 9. The Parable of the Law. Kay meets with the prison chaplain again, who shares an allegorical story about a man from the country who seeks admittance to the law but is always denied. The story represents the absurdity of the court and the hopelessness of Kay's struggle. The chaplain explains that the law is not meant to be understood but to be accepted as necessary. Kay is horrified by the realization that the court is an impenetrable system and that justice is not a real possibility. The parable serves as a key moment in the novel, offering insight into Kafka's view of the law and its function. The law is a system that operates independently of justice, and Kay's attempts to challenge it are futile. The parable's themes of powerlessness and the inevitability of the system reflect the novel's existential undertones. Chapter 10. The Execution. On his 31st birthday, Kay is taken away by 2 warders to a deserted quarry. They strip him to the waist and present him with a butcher's knife, suggesting that he should end his own life. Kay does not comply, and one of the warders stabs him in the heart. As he dies, Kay exclaims, "Like a dog!" His final words express the humiliation and absurdity of his death. The novel ends with Kay's execution, marking the culmination of his journey through an unjust and absurd system. His death is a tragic commentary on the dehumanizing effects of bureaucracy and the powerlessness of the individual in the face of an overwhelming system. As I reflect on the trial, several key themes stand out, central to Kafka's exploration of human existence: bureaucracy, powerlessness, guilt, and existential anxiety. Kafka vividly portrays the absurdity of a faceless system that reduces individuals to mere subjects, highlighting Kafka's struggle within a legal process that perpetuates itself without seeking justice. The pervasive sense of guilt, despite the lack of clear wrongdoing, and the existential anxiety that arises from K's inability to escape an unjust world, make the novel a powerful meditation on the futility of trying to make sense of a meaningless system. In the end, Kafka leaves us with no easy answers, only a haunting reminder of our vulnerability in the face of an oppressive, incomprehensible world. Thank you for watching. For more content like this, please like and share our video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the content, let us know what you want to see next in the comments down below.